The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
The audio's low.
Yeah, that's because this place is a absolute crap hole right now because we're still trying to get a hold of this new system. And
Well, now you're fine, so.
yeah, it's just getting to be, we can't find assets, we can't do this. Things just aren't working properly, and it's driving me nuts. But first thing I want to get to is, because my phone was ringing off the hook very early this morning, and
That's why I don't turn mine on till 9 o'clock.
some interesting information came out of the city. And not only from this morning, but I needed confirmations, and I received a lot of them. First thing was, do you realize that Casella is no longer taking our recycling from Fall River due to contamination? They're in contract for it. Currently, it's being dumped down at Lewiston St at the city garage. And they are culling through the recycling to find out what the contamination is and how to resolve the issue. It's been reported that DCM workers may be required to assist with this situation, which is not in their contract. Where is the union on this?
Absolutely. There
Okay.
you go. That's I mean, this is, the whole thing is absurd. This, again, is proof that Fall River can't do anything. Recycle. The recycling program has been in for forever. We can't do it. We're the only one we're one of the few places that pay to get rid of it. We allow a company that's being paid to take it not to take it, probably because they're going to have to charge us extra because we can't follow directions. And guess what? The city, again, is marching to the beat of their own drummer as they worry about other things.
Well, I mean, and then the DCM workers were required to dump out the incinerator bin. You know that area in the incinerator where they used to put everything to burn?
Oh, I caught the last fire at the incinerator.
Okay.
I had to testify in front of the city council about the incinerator fire that destroyed the incinerator.
Right.
So.
Well, they were required, or somebody, allegedly somebody was required, to clean it all out because that's where they dumped the bulky items. That's where they put the mattresses. I thought that was Easy Disposal's job. And they had to clean it out so LAL could go in there and take measurements.
But what?
Well, a transfer station or other trash stuff. Now, I confirmed with city councilors that none of this came before them. None of it. None of them have an idea.
The secret government.
Yeah, this is the Fall River City Council.
Remember the transparency government? I'm going to be transparent.
Yeah, exactly. He's
Nothing ever. We find out everything after the fact and only through tips.
Right.
And then if we get tips, he runs around like the Queen of Hearts saying, "Off with your head, off with your head. I'm going to fire you." And where's the union on that one? I'm calling out the unions. If you've got the mayor or the mayor's cronies out there attempting to coerce or intimidate employees for exercising their constitutional rights, it's time for you to file a grievance under Chapter 150E, because coercion and intimidation of employees is prohibited by law.
Well,
So
and
get off your butts.
right, and I tried to talk to some DCM workers down at the garage, and you know what I was told? I have no comment. I don't want to lose my job. Okay, and this isn't the first time we've heard that the mayor is threatening people with firing, and if it's not the mayor personally, it's his staff.
Well, we know of one firing already.
Yes,
right?
we do.
We know of one because she had the audacity not to drop everything and do what our chief of staff wanted her to do.
Right.
Drop all your other business, and you have to, when I jump, you have to say how high.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's shameful that employees are working, and I'm going to use this term, you're going to love it, Chip, a hostile work environment. Does that sound like litigation?
Sounds like an opening statement in a complaint. I don't know.
I think so. because that's what they're working in.
Or a grievance.
Right. And, you know, this is getting to be nuts. This is getting to be nuts. So I had to get that out there today because I did a lot of following up. Yesterday was a busy day for me in the pouring rain. So it's been reported that the Durfee High School is going to remove the metal detectors that were paid for with a grant. Remember, those were paid for with a grant.
This is look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it doesn't need it. This is unconscionable to me.
Right, it is.
In the state of this country today, and the state of this city, for the superintendent of schools to say they're going to get rid of metal detectors and they're going to search the students randomly to, quote, keep the students on their toes. Well, let me guess. After we have a tragedy, they'll put the metal detectors back in, like they do in New York schools and other places where there is in today's society, we have to err on the side of caution. I think the superintendent is 1,000% wrong. And if there's a tragedy, they should prosecute him.
Yeah, and you know, the problem I have with this, not like it's anything new for the city of Fall River or the school department, I think this may be a civil rights issue. You have to have probable cause.
Yeah.
To select, to go through the whole process of searching somebody, okay? And for you to just randomly pick people, I don't think you're going to have cause. Now, if you put the metal detectors up, right? And if you put the metal detectors up and search everybody, then that's just the policy. Yeah. That's what they do in the courthouses, the airports. That's fine.
And when a metal detector goes off, you have probable cause.
Then you've got your probable cause, exactly. So I think the city's going to be skating again on another civil rights complaint. So
and not only that, like I said, this is a total disregard for the safety of the students. And to say that, you know, this is again the Fall River, you know, this is the dream city. This is the I see a city, and it's like the Pleasure Dome. You know, and
in Xanadu.
In Xanadu, that's right. Fall River's beautiful. Everybody else can see Fall River for what it is, except the people who are. The superintendent of schools is taking a calculated risk by doing this, and it's a risk I do not believe is prudent and in the best interest of the safety of the students in this city. And their parents should be storming.
I agree.
The next school committee meeting.
I agree totally.
And I don't care how long it takes to screen them. I don't want to hear there's going to be long lines and stuff, because I'm going to tell you something. One student death because of lack of making every effort to make that school environment as safe as possible really is unconscionable. And I think that everyone in the school committee, the superintendent of schools, the chairman of the school board, if they allow this to happen and something happens, there should be a lawsuit against all of them.
I agree. Well, yesterday we had a lovely meeting over at Government Center in regards to the housing crisis. And this, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, is the report. Isn't it a beautiful book?
That's why they charge so much money.
Look at that. It's a beautiful book, isn't it?
Binder.
Well, I'll tell you. I got the binder. I printed it out. They weren't going to provide it. It's in electronic format.
Oh, well.
God forbid they
should have provided that to the city in a binder like that.
I know. And I could have charged them $50,000. This report cost the city, cost the stakeholders $57,000. I wrote an article before the presentation started. I'm not backing off from what I wrote in that article. This report and the recommendations are available on the Spindle City Straight Talk Facebook page and on the South Coast Media Facebook page. You can click on it and read the report if you want to. It is a line of bovine excrement, and that's a compliment. And they actually admit it. They say that they couldn't get the data because the city doesn't have the capability to collect this data. And then they kept referring to New Bedford and Fall River. But the one thing they kept talking about, and I made it very clear in what I wrote, to break some of these issues down to basics, let's get right into it. There's 38,655 occupied housing units. That's occupied. 24,799 rental units, which is 64.2% of the units, with a total of 7,039 subsidized units, or 28.3%. 28% is low-income housing. Now, I want to bring something very clear, because you know how we're pushing market rate, market rate, market rate, market rate? In this report, it clearly states that for market rate housing to work, we need two things. Developer subsidies, i.e. Commonwealth Landing got all those TIFs under the HDIP program from the state, and tenant subsidies. And what does tenant subsidies mean, Chip?
Oh, we know.
Low income.
Low income housing.
That's right.
Tenant subsidy. That, you know, and that's what these reports do, CJ. And I'm going to tell you, you did a nice job on this thing. I think you spelled impugn wrong, but that's okay. But there's always typos. If you look at my stuff, there's about 600 typos in every paragraph. That's why I can't spell. And even with the spell checker.
Actually, the spell checker put that in there.
It may be right. I told you, I can't spell. I don't know. I know what the word means, and
yep.
I use it, you know, but that's one of my problems. I have a good vocabulary,
right.
Very poor spelling skills. But look, you know, this whole thing is crap. The Center for Policy, and it used to be Policy and Analysis, I believe, at one
yep.
time, did all kinds of studies for the Lambert administration during his 10 years as mayor.
Right.
I mean, we had, you know, every year there was a study or 2 studies or 3 studies. They study everything, and they come up with 87 pages of the obvious, and some of it is crap. And the thing is, what this is doing is trying to make a case for more housing or a different kind of housing.
Right.
And this is not what the city needs, because the report itself is contradictory. You know, and it's like...
I think one of the big things that came out of this report, and you can watch it on FRG TV's video on demand. So please, watch this. It's about an hour and a half long. They admitted clearly that one of the main causes of our problems is the social service programs. People Incorporated, Stepping Stone, Stanley Street. Okay? These are one of the main causes, because they bring these people into Fall River and then they dump them onto our streets, which increases our homeless population. And I thought that statistic was probably one of the best. You know,
look at what we're doing, CJ. What we're doing is we get these reports that have all these ridiculous things like let's non-subsidized, no income funding for multiple and one families, but to try to reach out to school teachers, police officers. By requiring a 25% payment of the actual loan at 0 interest within 10-year ownership requirement within a 10-year. That's nice. I mean,
yeah.
That's a nice incentive. But the fact is, what do you think the school teachers and police officers and firefighters moved out of the city? You're not changing the demographic of the city. You're trying to entice people to come in here to move to a city. And what are you doing? The report clearly says it's a contradiction in itself.
Right.
It says that we're not only bringing in more low income, we have one of the highest percentage of low income people in the state per capita. Now we're bringing in all the drug addicts.
That's right.
And we're bringing all in the drug addicts to these places that are run by people who make 6-figure salaries and don't live in the city of Fall River.
Some are making 7.
And some are making 7. That's right. And if you know, most people in the city can't count that high. But the fact is, they're making these salaries, and then when they get done with their getting $400,000 or something for their treatment, they kick these people out the door. And guess what? They don't have a Cadillac waiting outside for them. They become indigent population in the city of Fall River. Again, who the hell wants to move back in here? We're like the gateway city for junkies and welfare cases. That's what we're the gateway for. And then this report is crap. And who made the report? It's a conflict. One of the people that's got a dog in his fight is a real estate agent. Is a state rep, and her husband's part of developing about 99.9% of the market rate housing in the city of Fall River. So, is this, you know, let's I'm going to be done. Let's forget one thing. I'm going to say one thing. I'm closing on this because this report's 87 pages of BS. And the fact is, go read it if you want to go to sleep. But look, this place has been doing reports for 20 years in the city of Fall River. And has the city gotten better in 20 years? The answer to that is no. And remember one thing is when you commission a study, it always comes out in your favor.
That's right.
Because if it doesn't, that company will never get another study to do. Nobody will ever commission them again. I have never seen a study that wasn't skewed in the favor of the person that commissioned the study. With that, I'm done with this one.
Money walks, like they say, you know,
yep.
$50,000.
BS makes 87-page reports.
And you know what? Let's get on to make it here. If you can make it here,
we might get sued by New York City for that one.
I know. We're going to make it here, right? $100,000. Now, wasn't that originally $30,000?
Yep.
And now it's $100,000. And to pay for this, the mayor personally went to the city council committee on economic development and tourism and said that we have to do this. And in order for us to apply for grants that we can't get, we're going to create a nonprofit 501c3, which will apply for those grants and then take out the ads and spend the money on the advertisements and everything else. But you know what that means? That means that the cronies, the political whores, the political butt kissers are going to be on the board for this 501c3. And they, in turn, will do exactly what the sixth floor dictates them to do. Because if they don't, we're going to have a problem.
And if they do that, they're not technically a nonprofit. They're doing public business under the guise of being a nonprofit,
which is a violation of IRS code 501c3. And you know what? Go for it, Mr. Mayor, because I'll be the first one marching up to Boston to file the complaint. Because I'm telling you now, I am so tired of everything you do being perfectly legal because your corporate counsel says it's legal, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, it wasn't so legal.
Well, just look at this. Again, more duplicity, okay? The mayor started this program. He asked for $30,000. He got it.
Right.
Now we find out it's $100,000. Now he's going back. This is a pattern. This is an MO, a modus operandi. You ask for money, then go back and say you need more. You know, the fact is that this is crap. This branding is like warmer and cooler. The only thing that will bring people into Fall River is cleaning up the crime, getting rid of, not importing mower junkies, getting rid of the junkies.
Yeah, but you know, Star wants another detox facility for 100 more beds.
I know. But the fact is, you look at this report about the housing, they're talking about attracting school teachers and firefighters and people. Who wants to come into a city full of, you know, I mean, you read the report, we have more homeless than any other city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, percentage-wise. So, I mean, who wants to come to this? This crap is, I mean, that's almost as bad as warmer and cooler in Rhode Island. I mean, if you give the mayor more money for this, you people are in the spectrum. I hate to say it, but you are. And the fact is, this is crap. You know, instead of rebranding Fall River, let's retool Fall River. Let's go out and look for some kind of industry that we can take, like containerized shipping.
Oh, wait a minute, we can't if I handle that.
That's right, and or we can start apprenticeship programs to create a bridge for employment. No, but we don't do things that have worked in other areas. I mean, I just saw a commercial a while back for Providence about how many vehicles they unloaded the first year they were open, and now they're, you know, it's like tenfold. It's 100 times more. The Port of Providence is a bustling, you know, thriving. People are employed, and these are not college-educated people. They're longshoremen. They're working. It's manual labor, but it's very good paying, very steady manual labor. What's going to rebuild Fall River is jobs. Fall River was never Newton. But when people had jobs, even if they weren't the greatest jobs in the world, when everybody worked in a mill, all worked on construction, when everybody in the Flint had a job, and we all watched our mothers walk across the street to the mills to work in Shelburne shirt and Stella Ann frocks, and our fathers go either to the mill or out to their job. The difference was there were jobs here.
Yeah.
And you can't, this is all crap, waste of taxpayers' money, because guess what? All this has been tried in Flint, Michigan, in Detroit, and every place else that's a total disaster area because of no jobs. Clean up the crime, go down to the state minimum and the federal minimums for subsidized housing, and let's begin to move this city in the right direction instead of making all your friends rich and having 87-page reports that's going to make everybody rich getting property. So that's what we got to do here.
Well, you know, it's really shameful that it came to that, but I think the problem that we have here is, and again, this is an opinion, so we have a mayor who seems to have a dictatorial persona. He appears to have a persona that does not allow anyone's opinion contrary to his be expressed. And if you express it, I'm going to fire you. And I think that doesn't work. And the misrepresentations that have come out of this office, even during his campaign, have been such that, remember, he was the transparency mayor. How many times have we heard that from candidates? How many candidates said, I'm going to be a totally transparent administration? And truly, how many were? So let's show you how transparent it is. My inside sources with the EPA, the Mass DEP, and our tipsters within the city of Fall River.
Yep, turn up the volume. This is a huge one.
Yep, pay attention to this. Got me the report. The report that the mayor does not want you or any potential purchaser of the King Philip Mill to know. And I'm going to sum it up with the evaluation portion and its recommendation in 7.3. And I'm going to read it word for word. And I have to, because if I don't, it will be ridiculous. So, 7.3 recommendations. Beta, which was the firm that did all the testing, has determined that a new reportable condition exists at the site due to the presence of contaminants in soil, groundwater, surface water, and sediment above the Mass DEP reportable concentrations outside the areas covered by the previous ROAs. Since an open RTN currently exists for the site, associated with the EPA's removal action, which goes back to 2014, by the way, people, Beta recommends filing a new classification for RTN 4-25363 that presents this new information and expands coverage of this RTN to the entire site. After filing the tier classification with Mass DEP, a plan should be developed to further assess the soil, groundwater, surface water, and sediment at the site, and response actions should be implemented to address risks for future site occupants. Additionally, here's some keys. If any of the site buildings are to be reoccupied, remember market rate housing he wants to put there? An assessment of indoor air may be required. Now highlight this in your mind. Hazardous building materials, lead-based paint, ACM, which is asbestos-containing materials, hazardous universal waste, should be abated prior to reoccupancy or demolition of the site buildings.
Wow.
This is amazingly clear-cut.
And why hasn't this been reported to the citizens of Fall River, and especially to the South End? I hope that we have contacted and sent this to Representative Alan Silva in the South End.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I believe that various elected officials in the city may have copies of this, according to allegations made by a couple of our tipsters. And again, I can't get into names because they're only allegations and I can't confirm it. There are elected officials that do know the existence of this report. I can say one that does know the existence because the name is all over every contract and every agreement, and that's Kathy Ann Viveris. So, you know, here's the evaluation that they found at the soil borings. Benzopyrene, dibenzoanthracene. I mean, these things are all carcinogenics.
Yeah.
Naphthalene. Oh, wow, isn't that a lovely one? I mean...
Yeah, just read this report, because I'll tell you what's really important here is that their alleged, the people who know about this, as far as I'm concerned, they should all be handcuffed, because this is a public health hazard for everybody in the South End, because it's in the water table, and it can migrate. But the fact is that the people who know about this report, allegedly, we have been told by some of our sources that they are not worried about this, because guess what they're going to do? After they get one of their friends, give them the property, they're going to get the city council to get taxpayers to pay for all the cleanup,
right,
which could conceivably be millions and millions of dollars, because they're not, I don't care what they're saying, what the projected cleanup was.
The projected cleanup was $199,000.
Yeah.
It has now gone up because of this, and they did not come up with a projection.
And it could go up to an astronomical figure, because if they begin test borings, especially since it's infiltrated groundwater.
And it's in Cook Pond.
And
the report does show it's in Cook Pond.
And they're going to have to do test borings, and they're going to continue to do test borings until they get a clear enough area that appears to be uncontaminated.
Right.
So this could cost millions of dollars. Now, the testing is going to cost a lot of money, but the cleanup is going to be
even more
astronomical.
Just the demolition of this building, conservatively, with 500,000 square feet, with a conservative estimate of $25 per square foot, is $12.5 million, exclusive of the cleanup. Because the cleanup has to be done first. Then you can demolish the building.
Yeah, and what does our Alfred E. Newman government say? What? Us worry? We're just going to make the taxpayers pay.
Exactly. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
This is your super get angry card for today, people.
Yep. And
read this report,
I love it, because we actually finished with a minute left, and we're doing pretty good here.
That's
so,
right.
Real quick, I just want to let our union workers know, in Iowa, the governor just removed health insurance provisions in the union contracts. This is going to be funny when they start doing that in Massachusetts. So...
Yeah, and they started it, and remember when they try to do that, they can't take it out completely because of 150E.
Right.
But remember, our city council and our state representatives voted in Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through the adoption of Sections 21 through 23 to not allow health care to be bargained.
Exactly.
It used to be a mandatory subject to bargaining. There are some elements that still have to be agreed upon. There is a procedure, but they basically disembowel the process. And so when they all campaign and tell you how pro-union they are, give them the you-know-what finger.
Hey, stay angry, and we'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.
That's right. Don't drink the water from Cook Pond.